Is your business protected against the threat of malicious litigation and frivolous lawsuits? Are you sinking company profits into marketing campaigns that do nothing to contribute to the growth of your business? Bottled Business Sense provides practical business perspectives that uniquely emphasize both legal and media marketing strategies to protect and ensure the longevity of your business. Now, whether you're trying to provide a startup business with some level of stability or an established business with foolproof asset and estate protection, or simply attempting to get a better return for your business marketing dollars, Bill Bernard and Rick Moscoso will expose potential pitfalls to ensure the security and growth of your business, free from unwanted expense and the threat of litigation. You'll learn how to implement marketing and protection tools equal to those used by today's most successful corporations. Let's join Bill and Rick for today's Bottled Business Sense show.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Today's Tuesday at 10 a.m. here on the Bottled Business Sense show. I am Rick Moscoso, one of your co-hosts this morning. Let me get a little housekeeping out of the way. You can always find us, obviously, here on Facebook every other Tuesday. You can also find us on YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, and our archive of episodes sits at bottledbusinesssenseshow.com. So there's a whole host of videos that we've done over the years, over the last 6 years or so, that you can always refer to. So do us a favor, like us on Facebook, also subscribe to our channel on YouTube, and we look forward to sharing more of this information with you over the next near time future. So with that, I'm going to bring on my co-host, Mr. Bill Bernard. He is going to speak on the subject dealing with bullying here in California. But before we get into that, let's welcome Bill onto the episode.
Good morning, everybody. Yeah, Rick, we are everywhere except in Congress, and we'd probably do a better job if we were there, but we aren't. So we're here giving you some free information, and today there's been a lot of talk about, in my circles, the employment arena, about bullying in the workplace and whether or not it's an actionable cause that you can sue for, because to put it very bluntly, the question goes something like this: is my boss entitled to be an asshole and be nasty to me? And the short answer is there is no law against being a jerk. Somebody can be as rude as they want to you. They can even discriminate against you in the workplace as long as that discrimination is not based on an illegal underlying premise. And we'll get into that in a minute. So bottom line is there is no law against workplace bullying in California in its purest form. Now, workplace harassment or discrimination is prohibited under federal law and under the California Fair Employment and Housing Act, or FEHA, F-E-H-A. So workplace bullying, if it has a motivation sounding in discrimination or harassment, then it ups itself into the next category and becomes an actionable cause for which you can bring a suit. So this really means that workers have legal right to take action either when bullying crosses the line into the sexual harassment arena, or when it meets one of the discriminatory categories or protected categories, as we like to call it, such as race, religion, national origin, sexual orientation, disability, that kind of thing. So if you're bullying somebody just to be mean, that's one thing. If you're bullying somebody because you're basing it on a sexual harassment scenario or some sort of discriminatory protected class scenario, in other words, your discrimination, either in actions or words, takes the form of sexual harassment or discrimination based on a protected category, then you're in trouble. But bullying in and of itself, without that motivation behind it, is not actionable in California. So I thought what I would do is generally go into a little bit of what the definition of bullying is and maybe give an example. Workplace bullying is abusive conduct that falls into a couple of different categories: verbal abuse, hey, you're a jerk, get it together, I'm sick of covering for you, if you don't do this job right, I'm going to write you up. And it's a constant, something that goes on frequently, that is just a threat. In other words, somebody's just being nasty to you for the sake of being nasty. Where somebody tries to sabotage your work, make you look bad. Where somebody threatens you with some sort of future conduct if your job isn't brought up to par, but yet you're not fired or you're not disciplined. It's just being a jerk. It's being an ass. It's being somebody who's not a very nice person. And most often the result is for you to go out and find a different job. So remember that workplace bullying must take a different form. It must have this underlying foundation of either some sort of harassment, form of sexual harassment, or some sort of a discrimination based on a protected category. There's no statute in California allowing for employees to sue employers over workplace bullying, as I mentioned. However, I do want to mention this. In 2014, there was a California law called AB 2053, Assembly Bill 2053, and that does require California employers with 50 or more employees, to provide training to supervisors every 2 years that includes training on the prevention of abusive conduct, meaning workplace bullying. The training is to be provided along with sexual harassment prevention training that employers are required to provide as part of their strategy to prevent sexual harassment in the workplace. So the employers must provide training on workplace bullying, but it's really couched in making sure that the bullying doesn't turn into sexual harassment or some sort of discrimination based on a protected class. Because while you're training in workplace bullying and saying, hey, don't practice this, which is great training, nevertheless, if somebody is bullying you and it's not based on sexual harassment or a protected class discrimination type of a deal, you're not going to have a cause of action against that person, even though they're required to be trained in workplace bullying every 2 years. So remember, it's good that they incorporate that training, but it's housed, in my opinion, it's housed in making sure that employers understand and employees understand that workplace bullying is actionable if it rises to some sort of a sexual harassment underlying foundation or some sort of a discriminatory action based on violation of a protected class. Employees who are victims of workplace bullying may have a right to compensation, obviously, if this bullying crosses the line into sexual harassment or a violation of a protected class. And the reason is because when it crosses that line, workplace bullying then becomes what's typically referred to as a hostile work environment. And I want to go through, I think it's worthwhile going through some of the protected classes that can be a product of workplace bullying and of course, rise to an actionable cause of action. We have race, religion, color, national origin, ancestry, physical or mental disability, of course, medical condition or genetic information, marital status, sex, gender identity or gender expression, age, sexual orientation, and military status as a veteran, believe it or not. Harassment on the basis of one of those categories is against the law under the California Employment Law Statute in FEHA. So let me give you an example. A guy is a Muslim employee in an auto repair shop. Several of his colleagues regularly make rude, disparaging comments to his face about his appearance and his ability to do his job. He is also excluded from his colleagues' social activities on several occasions, and here's the key, On several occasions, colleagues have used ethnic slurs. Now, let's take that last sentence out of the example. Without that ethnic slur portion of this example, he may have a tough time proving discrimination based on his ethnicity, and thereby taking regular workplace bullying to a higher level, to an actionable level. But in this case, the workplace bullying being experienced by this gentleman may actually be hostile work environment based on harassment because of his religion. So, and his ethnicity. So there's where the line crosses from workplace bullying into an actionable cause. Remember, you can sue the person who harasses you if the harassment is committed by a supervisor or the employer handles the harassment negligently. So here's what I want to point out. You can sue a person who harasses you directly. And if the harassment is committed by a supervisor, you can sue that supervisor. You can also sue the supervisor and the employer if the employer handles the harassment negligently. In other words, the employer becomes aware of it and does nothing about it, and doesn't discipline the supervisor or doesn't take some action to stop the harassment. Otherwise, you can only sue the person who is harassing you. And remember, in this case, I'm using harassment, hostile work environment, synonymously with a cause of action that takes workplace bullying into either the category of sexual harassment or the categories that I outlined earlier based on protected status. That becomes discrimination. So, in summing up, if your complaints about bullying lead you to losing your job, you may have rights under FEHA retaliation laws. So let's say that you are the victim of workplace bullying, and your employer retaliates against you because you're complaining about workplace bullying. Remember that you may have rights for retaliatory action against you by your employer. If the bullying you experience also includes wage, hour, or overtime violations, you're being bullied and you complain about these violations, or you're being bullied and you complain about it, and now you suffer wage or overtime violations as a result of your complaints, you're retaliated against, and therefore you lose out on these features of your employment, these statutory entitlements, in other words, then you have rights as well, and you can bring a cause of action for retaliation. You can bring a cause of action for wage and hour loss violations as well. So see an attorney if that's the case, because in many instances you have separate causes of action based on retaliation. So remember that sometimes the knowledge that you are exploring your legal options may have an effect. So let's say you're suffering workplace bullying, but it doesn't rise to the level of hostile work environment. That is either some sort of sexual harassment or some sort of discriminatory conduct based on a protected class. Just workplace bullying. If you go see a lawyer and you let it be known that you're doing so, that may stop the workplace bullying. It also may make it worse, and it may cause you to lose your job. It may cause you to have an action for retaliation. It may cause you to just go out and look for a new job because you can't handle it anymore. Regardless, you take that chance, but sometimes that does work and causes the workplace bullying to stop, because many employers, even though they should, aren't aware of the specifics of the law that indicate that workplace bullying in its purest form does not rise to a hostile work environment and therefore an actionable cause of action. So there's a lot of things to consider here. I hope you kind of review this in your leisure. It's a short, succinct show distinguishing between what is a hostile work environment and what isn't, and workplace bullying in its purest form is not. It only is a hostile work environment. It becomes a hostile work environment when you have an actionable cause of action based on harassment of some sort, typically sexual harassment, or some sort of violation of a protected class, which amounts to discrimination, a discriminatory animus or a discriminatory motivation in bullying you, as opposed to just being a jerk in and of itself. Okay, so I hope that's helped today, guys. And we'll be back next week. I know we've done a lot of shows recently on estate planning and some on business. I wanted to get in this employment show because I think it's important and I think people need to understand it. I get a lot of questions all the time. Hey, I'm being bullied at work. My employer's a jerk. What can I do? As of now, there's not a whole lot you can do about it. Just remember, as is out in everyday life, unfortunately, even in the workplace, it's not a crime to be a jackass. Okay.
Yeah,
There are people like that, and that's unfortunate. So I hope that's helped today.
Yeah. So anyone, if you have a question and can use some feedback, you're welcome to reach out to Bill. His contact information is below this video. Start a conversation. Or you can also go back to our archives of other videos we've done over the years at bottledbusinessshow.com and search for the topic of your choosing. So there's a whole plethora of resources and knowledge base that Bill has shared over the years in regards to his expertise. So
and I want to share another piece of information, as a matter of fact, which is has nothing to do with the show in and of itself. But since we provide free information here, I want to provide some free advice because we'll be doing shows sporadically through the end of the year as the holidays approach. But I want to make sure you all understand that you need to get out there and vote. You need to vote this election. It's a critical election. Get out there and vote. If you're voting by mail, vote early. If you're voting in person, make sure you're protected, wear your mask, get out there and vote. This is really important. And I hope you all take it seriously. And more importantly, do something above and beyond. Tell your friends, get other people involved who may not typically be involved. Tell them to get out and vote. Exercise your right as a United States citizen. Don't let anybody stop you from doing that, okay? God bless, and we'll see you on the next show.
All right. Thanks a lot, Bill, for your information. Again, reach out to Bill at the information below. Like us on Facebook. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube as well. So with that, we will see you again in a couple of weeks. And be on the lookout on Facebook for the next episode information. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Take care.